Hi, good morning. My name is Tish, and I'm so excited. I have a very dear friend of mine, Johanna, who's going to be joining us today. And while we wait for everybody to just come online and join us for this Facebook, you place your left hand on your heart space and your right hand on your womb space. And we're just going to take a few deep breaths to 20 minutes or so to be totally present within ourselves and our body and receive the information that's been given to us. So taking a deep inhale through your nose, all the way into your belly, sending love into your womb, and then gently exhale, open your mouth. And then 2 more like that. Deep inhale. And one last one. Deep inhale. Heart, and just send your gratitude out to all the women in your life, your mother, your sisters, to yourself and to your womb. And just thank them for this time. Thank them for their presence in your life. Good. So today is actually the first Facebook Live that I have my guest, my speaking guest with me. So Johanna, here is Johanna.
Hi, good morning everybody.
So if you can hear us, can you please give us a thumbs up or a heart or anything that we can just kind of know that you're there? I'm using the direct platform today, so I'm not so familiar with it. So that'd be really great. I'm going to introduce Johanna real fast. Jo is the author of the #1 Amazon best-selling book called Live Vibrantly, 10 Steps to Maintain Youthfulness, Increase Energy, and Restore Your Health. She is fiercely committed to guiding people and taking ownerships of their life, giving them the freedom to live beyond the ordinary, full of energy, free from fear and of aging disease. Her path to becoming a restorative, eco-chef, and wellness coach became clear after having her restored her own health from a debilitating health issue after another, including an autoimmune disease. Over the last 28 years, she has become a wealth of knowledge in this area and focuses on the importance of culturing and sprouting, along with food combining to support you to be your best vibrant self. As a vibrant living soul, she is passionate about teaching and sharing this knowledge with others so they too might live as their highest self. Johanna is our head chef and holistic nutritionist. She teaches 2 nutrition workshops during this yoga teacher training academy that we currently run. And I'm also taking a course with her, learning more about sprouting and food combining, and it's really changed not only my energetic levels, but also my physical body, and definitely has assisted me in my cycle this time around. So I thought it'd be a really good idea to bring Johanna in today and just discuss with us a little bit more. So welcome, Jo.
Hi, thank you so much, Tish. I'm so happy to be here and I'm joining you all today. And I really look forward to this discussion. And please do collect your questions as we go, because we'll take a few minutes to answer those at the end too.
Yes, for sure. So let's start off by talking about the 3 superfoods to nourish your cycle.
Okay, so superfoods kind of bring up a certain connotation in people's minds. So you might be thrown off a little bit by the 3 things I'm going to throw out there. The first one is seaweeds or sea vegetables. Those are a food or don't use a whole lot of. They're just not familiar with them and how to use them. But actually, I really want to encourage, especially women, to include seaweeds in their diet because they are so high in minerals and iodine and other things that are really, really important for healthy thyroid function and to be able to support hormone balance. The second one is raw cacao. That's kind of a no-brainer one. Everybody's heard of that. Beautiful about raw cacao. Nourishes us on a heart and emotional level too. And it's kind of, I call it soul food, basically. The benefits of that, again, are minerals, but it's super high in magnesium. And so that really acts as a muscle relaxant. Mm-hmm. And so, for those that have a lot of issues with cramping during their cycle and whatnot, drinking cacao on a regular basis, it's something that's kind of cumulative, so it builds up in your body a little bit. So just a little bit every day, make this really awesome drink that combines cacao, turmeric, cinnamon, ginger, and cardamom with a little bit of coconut oil and hot water.
This right now, it's so delicious.
so that's a great way to take, possibly caffeine out of your diet and replace it with something like that really benefits you on a daily level, and especially when it comes time for your cycle. The third thing, not many people think of as superfood, and those are right there, easy to digest, readily available, and your body just sucks it up so easily without putting stress on your digestive system. And the benefit to that is like literally like adding multiple vitamins to your body, and it's just enhances digestion as well as providing these nutrients that just help you to stay healthy and balanced as well too. And again, we're talking not just on a physical level, but on a mental and emotional level, because when it comes time to our cycles, we're working, well, as women, we're working with our whole bodies, period. We're not just working on a physical level. We want to nourish ourselves on that soul level, on that spiritual level, that mental level as well too. And so these three things that I've just mentioned will actually do that. And so it's as easy as adding like a teaspoon to a tablespoon of sprouts or a microgreen to at least 2 meals a day. And it's that easy.
Good. So let's just review those again. Seaweed, for those of you who just joined, cacao, and then sprouts. And I also want to encourage you, if you want to learn a little bit more, reach out to Jo. She's amazing at coaching and helping you, just teaching you how to ferment and sprout these foods. And I actually myself learned how to do that this month, and it's something so easy to incorporate into your food. So definitely. So the next thing I wanted to touch on is fermented foods. Why should we add fermented foods and beverages to our daily intake, and how is that helping us?
Well, what a lot of people don't realize is that we are primarily made up of bacteria. We're almost 99% bacteria. So we're like this whole little ecosystem that's going on here. And the idea is to feed that ecosystem in a way that supports you to thrive. Mm-hmm. Health can really be broken down very simply. Within this ecosystem, who's the one thriving basically? Is it you? And then you have this beautiful symbiotic relationship with all the other bacteria and viral and things, because they are all part of us and they're meant to be there. But disease happens when that balance is thrown off and they begin to thrive and you become just the host. Mm-hmm. And so we're looking to bring fermented foods in beverages into the diet to bring a variety of additional bacteria that are healthy and support us to thrive. Yes. And keep that symbiotic relationship in a place. And everybody's balance is different and everybody is different. So we all have these, wonderful, unique little ecosystems going on, and getting to know how to support your ecosystem in a way that you thrive is really key here. And we're talking about different foods and beverages. So a lot of people are familiar with kombucha, water kefir is one of my favorite ones as far as beverages go. Often people think of yogurt as the first thing when you talk about fermented foods. And when it's traditionally done, there can be some benefit there, but just watch those store-bought ones if you do include that in your diet. They often add a lot of sugars and the real benefit is not there. One of my favorite fermented foods is raw miso, actually, and sauerkraut. Those are two of my favorites that are pretty readily available these days. And just by adding, a little teaspoon to your meal, or using a raw miso as a base for like a salad dressing or a sauce or something, just takes you from here to here and makes such a difference. And the reason you don't want to just rely on a pill, for example, to be able to get your probiotics is because no matter how many different strains you have, when you take the same pill over and over and over again, you're creating what we call a monoculture. So it's the same repetition over and over and over and over again. And as you know, that's never good in anything. Mm-hmm. So the key here is variety. And by eating and incorporating the different foods and beverages, you're able to do that. And then that way your body can maintain its nice, healthy little ecosystem going on there. And like I said, it's as simple as adding, 1 teaspoon to a tablespoon of sauerkraut, or using a little bit of raw miso. And I'm trying to think, lacto-fermented veggies are really, really easy to do, and we've been enjoying those here as well. And it's just a matter of taking your fresh vegetables in a salt and a water brine, letting them ferment, and then enjoying them. And there's tons of information online, and I also have a recipe on my blog as well too, at ilivevibrantly.com/blog, and you'll see a recipe for lacto-fermented carrots. Literally, it's like a 5-minute investment in your health that has such huge benefit to it. So yeah, take advantage of all the things we have available to us.
I think for me, the whole fermentation or food that is being fermented, was always sold as you know, eating pork with fermented sauerkraut, and that for me was like getting, and so I had this whole misconception or perception around fermented foods, and now working with you, I really realized the benefits of the fermented food and how easy it is to make these things. So if you are anything like me and you have this wrong perception or just a belief system around it, I invite you to experience with it. I know I really like kimchi, which is a little bit more of a spicy sauerkraut. It's really amazing too. And now I'm hooked on kombuchas. Like, I don't drink any sodas anymore. I literally just live off kombucha if I decide to drink something other than water or green juice or so on and so forth.
And then I've also introduced her to water kefir here, and she's learned how to take care of that and actually how to use that really simply in this whole fermenting and sprouting and making the food alive and available at a nutrient level for yourself here. So that can be a whole other discussion, but we've had a lot of fun going really deep with that as well too. But it is really simple, and it can be really daunting for a lot of people, but you know, take a look at it. Just open that door and be open to different ideas and trying new things, and just see how you feel about it and see how your body feels and how it responds.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so that's the next question actually, that with the discussion that we're going to talk about is breath and breathing before we eat. How can that actually ease digestion and help us with PMS?
So it may sound like really like oversimplified here, but literally taking 3 to 5 deep breaths before you eat your meal. And some people like to bless their food or just take a moment or whatever that looks like for you. Say a little prayer, you know, whatever. Just take that moment. In this day and age, most people are, you know, usually running around frantically or working or doing this, and you're inhaling food at the same time, and you know, you haven't actually stopped to turn on your digestive system. Mm-hmm. And so your body is in this other state of fight or flight, working with whatever you have going on, and you haven't told it to switch gears. Mm-hmm. So that really puts a big load on the digestive system. It makes it hard for your body to assimilate and really take in those nutrients. And that really makes a huge difference on how your cycles are going to go every month. You know, if you have any stress on the digestive system, that's going to be a direct correlation to how, if you have PMS symptoms, if you have cramps and all these different things, you know. And you know, when I was younger, I had a really, really hard time with cramps, horrible PMS. Like, I would just like get deadly ill and be knocked out for at least a whole week. And through, you know, healing myself and working with my body and finding that balance and working with my ecosystem, I've been able to, you know, bring those symptoms down to a place where, you know, I feel like I'm just working naturally with my cycle now. And working with a little bit of discomfort, but sitting with that, and it's not to the point where it's like so extreme where I'm just like flat out. And that's been a process. And this one thing, taking that time to just turn on your digestive system every time you go to put food in your mouth, basically, is huge. And it's that easy. Again, like all of these things we're talking about are pretty simple. And most people, when they think about nourishing themselves, don't think about stopping to breathe. So if you can just put those two things together and just remember that you're doing yourself a favor, and your body is going to reward you and thank you for that. So you're going to absorb more nutrients. You're actually going to get the value of what you're eating. And you're not going to feel so tired afterwards. So your body's going to have more energy for you to live your life, as well as doing all the repair work and everything else that it needs to do to function. Because we can't just be digesting all the time. Otherwise, our bodies miss out on all the other things they're meant to be doing.
This ties in very nicely with what I teach in yoga. I teach a breath called the diaphragmatic breathing, which is a ribcage breath. So if you want to just place your hands underneath your lower ribcage, you'll feel this is the place where your diaphragm is located. So just before you eat, take 3 deep diaphragmatic breaths. So inhaling without lifting your ribcage, bring the breath into the diaphragm and into the belly. Feel the belly expand and feel the ribcage expand. And then slowly breathing out again. So just being consciously aware of this type of breathing before you start eating allows the parasympathetic nervous system to go into a state of rest and digest. Most of us function in fight or flight most of the time because we're continuously running and stressing and worrying about finances or anything like that. So we tend to push away the rest and digest. So we could just drop into the breath, come into a state of rest and digest. We can allow our food to process better and get more nutrients and just be more calm and ease and being present with the food that's being put into our bodies.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I really like that. So the next thing we're going to just touch on real briefly is intermediate fasting and our cycle. And this is a topic that I'm loving talking about. I'm currently doing a lot of research. I have a detox retreat coming up here in Costa Rica where we're going to go into depth of fasting and the benefits and how to detox your body. So I'm excited. Let's talk a little bit about that.
So intermittent fasting has become a very popular topic and a very popular subject these days. But it is kind of scary to a lot of people, especially when they first start. It's like, oh my God, I gotta fast. Like, there's no way I can do that. How is this ever gonna work? You know?
I love food.
Exactly. And you know, is fasting healthy? Like, there's all these questions that could come up around that, as well as, you know, things that you've read or seen or other people's opinions, as well as your own story that you've created around that. But the reason why I'm even talking about this is because we have this amazing communication system that basically goes from our gut all the way up to our brains. And the information from here to here travels along the vagus nerve that connects all the way up and down. And this information travels like in these little ripples and these little waves. And it's the microbes or the bacteria that we were talking about earlier that actually control and send these messages. So there's another reason why you want fermented foods and you want to keep your ecosystem healthy. So you need that bacteria in order to be able to send the right messages for your body to be able to do the repair work and the healing work. And the key thing is if your body is digesting, it can't do that. That function does not happen. And so in this day and age where a lot of people just tend to be grazers, as I call them, you know, just kind of always putting something in your mouth, just kind of always eating, whether you're hungry or not, it kind of becomes a habit. Or we have, you know, emotional connotations tied in with that as well too. And we're afraid of feeling that feeling of emptiness in our gut, but yet actually that is a really healthy thing, and our bodies need that in order to be able to have this communication going on. And this communication is responsible for repairing and feeding your thyroid, your adrenals, the hypothalamus, like our entire hormonal system. It helps to keep inflammation reduced and limit inflammation. It increases our mitochondrial activity, you know, within our cells, and that's the energy that basically gives us the energy to function and to live, so we don't feel so tired all the time. And so this is a really, really important piece, and it doesn't have to be that difficult. So for people who have never, you know, tried anything like this before, what I recommend is I kind of do have like a beginner, intermediate, and then a well-seasoned level. And so for people that are just starting out, try not to eat after 8 o'clock at night. You know, the ideal is to have at least 3 hours between your last meal and the time that you go to sleep at night. So 8 o'clock p.m. is a pretty reasonable time, because I know a lot of people work late, you come home, you have dinner late, so your schedule is, you know, not always conducive to stopping eating earlier. So 8 o'clock is usually a pretty gaugeable time for most people. And start there. And just even try it like 1 day a week, you know, like really tiny baby steps. Don't set yourself up with this huge expectation, because, you know, when we do that, we often fail and then we're discouraged and we give up. So just give yourself this little tiny thing to aspire to and to try. And if it doesn't always work, then okay, great, it didn't work. Like, don't beat yourself up for it. Just continue to keep trying to implement it as much as you can. And know that those few little times that you are able to do it are really going to benefit you. And of course, the more you can do it, the more benefit you're going to get from that. And then for people, you know, who maybe are already doing that and it's a little bit easier for you, bump it up to 7 p.m. And then for people, you know, who want to bump it up to the next level, try 6 p.m. So that just gives you that longer period of time, and you're sleeping through most of this, or you should be. So it makes it easy, you know, to not be craving foods or wanting other things, and to not like feel that hunger. And during that sleep cycle, you're also supporting yourself to do that repair work. You know, we talk a lot about cleansing and detox and nourishing, but repair and rebuilding and rejuvenation are key pieces to us functioning as a healthy human being. And they often get neglected. And this is a very, very simple way to be able to support your body on such a high level to function at a much higher level. So.
Yeah, you know, I think when I started looking into fasting, I always had such a wrong perception, or a bad perception about it, which I really realized that by resting the digestive system, you're actually giving an opportunity to heal itself and restore itself. So I started off by doing a 3-day juice fast. That's kind of like how I started bringing myself into a sort of a fast. And now I want to try and do 1 day a week water fast, where my digestive system can just get some time to rest. And also try to incorporate this with maybe a day of silence. See if you can get away from the computer, get away from keeping the mind busy. Yeah, stimulation. And just see if you can drop into a space of literally feeling what's going on in your body, what's coming up for you, what emotions is coming up, because now your digestive system have the time to rest. And so sometimes emotions going to come up, sometimes old feelings are going to come up, and so really just taking the time to drop into the body, feel what is coming up, and silencing the mind,
And if you do have to, your schedule, whatever, is not working, you are eating a little bit later than you would, desire to be eating, then just keep it light, like a soup and a salad or something that's going to move through you pretty quickly, and your body's going to be able to simulate it, rather than this great big huge meal of, all these starches and proteins and everything else that are just going to weigh you down and basically occupy you throughout the entire night.
Yeah, and have you wake up completely tired.
Right. Or if you're still feeling, say you had your soup and your salad earlier, and you're, just getting ready for bed, and you just feel super hungry or something like that, have like a green juice, or have something like that. Even a piece of fruit, just a little bit. Moderation and variety are the key behind everything that we're talking about here, and that little bit, before you go to bed, that's still going to support you without throwing things off track immensely. And those are really good things too. Like fasting too doesn't have to be like just water. You could be doing like a mineral broth or a bone broth or a fresh juice, to kind of like ease yourself into it. So there's so many ways to go about this, more than we can get into right now. But again, when I'm working with people and I'm coaching them and working with them, this is what we go more into more detail in. And my book as well talks about this and how you can implement different things, and is a great introduction to all of these things that we're talking about today.
For sure. And we'll post a link to the book as well at the end of this Facebook Live. But now let's talk a little bit more about why plant-based foods are so vital for a healthy cycle.
So plant-based foods are really important. Whether you eat animal foods or just plant-based, it doesn't matter. The majority of the food that you eat and consume throughout the day should be primarily plant-based. That should be the foundation. And this is where a lot of people have problems or have issues or just are not aware. Like you often see when people heap their plates, whether they eat an all plant-based diet or not, I see a lot of grains going on there. I see a lot of other things going on there. And then there's like this tiny little token little portion of like vegetable or whatnot. And what I really want to encourage is that kind of flip that perspective around. And the vegetables, both raw and lightly cooked, should be the primary foundation of every meal, including breakfast, by the way. I'm just going to throw that out there and leave that. But by doing that, you are actually providing the vitamins, the minerals, the fiber. There's a lot of fiber in vegetables and in plant foods that really, really help us to be able to digest and break down the proteins and the starches and those other things. And we need the healthy fats, in there as well too. But those things are all, I like to call them the condiments or the add-ons. So you have this beautiful, vegetable foundation that you're working with. And then you just add these little pieces in, because we don't need a whole lot of those things. We just need a little bit in order to be able to keep that balance. And that's what's going to allow you to get the right combinations of nutrients that we need in order to stay really, really healthy. And those are really important things that we need to be able to support healthy hormone balance and cycles and whatnot. If we're overdoing it in the protein realm, if we're overdoing it in the starch realm, that really puts a lot of stress on the system, and it can lead to a lot of menstrual cycle problems. I've seen that not only in myself, but with a lot of the women that I work with, you know. Sometimes it's not the foods you're eating, but it's the proportions of them and the quantities of them that you're eating that might just need a little bit of tweaking in order to support you to go from struggling with your cycles to breezing through your cycles.
For sure. No, definitely. I have seen that in the change in just shifting onto a plant-based diet since I moved here to Costa Rica. I was in heavy paining and cramping, and definitely was the wrong food combinations. And by just changing my diet to mostly fruit and vegetables, it's helped me so much. So I can definitely suggest that even just bringing in more fruits and vegetables into your diet is already going to make a change, you know. I'm very excited. Johanna and I are actually working on creating a beautiful program where we're going to combine everything from well-being to lifestyle to spirituality and rituals on our cyclical nature as a feminine design. So it's really going to dive deeper into what you can eat for each cycle, what rituals you can do for each cycle, what archetype is coming up for you for each cycle, and how to weave that into your daily life so that you could just have an amazing, blissful, vibrant life. So really excited for that. I'm so excited. So thank you so much for those of you watching. If you want to find Johanna, where can they find you?
You can find me either on Facebook or on Instagram. It's I Live Vibrantly, and my website is ilivevibrantly.com. Go ahead and check it out. There's in my blog, there's a lot of recipes and useful information that you might benefit from, and a lot of the things we've been talking about. There's little articles about that up there as well too, and it's a great place to start. There's tons of free information up there, so take a look. Also on my Instagram and on my Facebook pages, I do post a lot of recipes and little tips and tricks. So follow along and find ways to make all these things much simpler to be able to adapt into your life. And you know, that way you can also message me and ask me questions as well too.
Amazing. So for those of you excuse me, who are interested, we have a detox retreat coming up in November, which is all going to be talking about fasting, intermediate fasting, and cleansing the vessel with light meditation, breathing techniques to slow down the nervous system. And then for those of you who are more interested in the spiritual realm of your esotericness and your cyclical nature, we have another retreat coming up in December, which is called Awakening Shakti, and it's going to be infused with plant medicine. So if you feel the call and you feel like this is something for you, please reach out, just send me a message and I'll send you the information. And you can find all of this on followyourblisscr.com, which is my website. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching today. I'm so excited. Thank you, Joe. It's been amazing having you on, and I hope that all of you have a beautiful week. Blessings.
Bye.